Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Martha Simmons with another session of Preaching and Preachers on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Good afternoon. It is a sunny Monday here in Atlanta. Hope the weather's good where you all are. Good afternoon. Come on in and let me know that you are out there. We've got a topic you all asked for. We try to do a couple of things on finance each year. And so today we're doing something important that I get asked about all the time. So I decided y'all need to stop asking me, ask an expert. I am known for bringing on the experts. And like I said, I'm just excited. So you all come on in. Let me know where you're coming in from and join us. And when you come in, tag someone. Type in the name of a person you know will be helped by this broadcast. They can jump on now, or this broadcast will be up on Facebook for about 3 weeks, and it'll be up on YouTube for at least 3 years. Your missus is on. Dr. Tamara Lomax is on. She says, let's go. All right, all right, all right. Come on in and let me know where you all are on this sunny Monday. Uh, Shouting out my people on the West Coast who get up early from time to time and watch. Certainly, the people in on the West Coast and the people in the Midwest, excuse me, folk on the East Coast, and certainly the people in the dirty South. Come on in and let me know that you all are out there. We had a whole lot of comments about this particular subject matter, and I know Wednesday is my biggest playback day. Okay, the analytics tell me that, but I am really looking forward. And you can put your comments in the chat when you come in. And if you've got a question, go ahead and put that in too. And we may be able to get to your question, especially significant questions. So come on in. I'm going to give folk about 30 more seconds to come on in and go ahead and get started because I want to give my guest, Wendell Craig Woods, good to have you with me. I want to give my guests as much time as possible to get to do the topic. And like I said, when you all come in, tag someone, type in their name. If you are on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe to the broadcast. Don't ever want to forget my YouTube subscribers. Just started doing YouTube about 2 years ago and then moved over about 6 years of material to YouTube. So now have a pretty hefty following, and I appreciate my YouTube folk. All right, all right. We've got Byron Johnson. Good to have you with me. All right, all right, all right. Come on in, people. Come on in. Like I said, I know Wednesday, I've learned now, is the big day when everybody, which is interesting for pastors, but that's when people tend to play back the broadcast. But we want some folk who are here live, checking it out. Let me go ahead and get started. As always, I am praying for those who are sick, praying for those who are experiencing a season of bereavement. And today, especially, I want to pray for all teachers and professors as they prepare to return to school. If you are viewing this again on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. By way of announcement, next Monday, join me for another important broadcast as I welcome the first Black woman to serve as the president and CEO of Christianity Today. I'm honored to welcome her, and I know that you all are really going to join me in saluting this sister. That's next Monday. Join me for that. Today's topic is faith and finances, which is important, really important. So, like I said, I went out, I got an expert, I got a man of faith who knows about finances. I covered it all. The Reverend Michael Lomax, MBA, CFP, that's a Master's of Business Administration, and he's a certified financial planner. He is the 15th pastor of Westwood Baptist Church in Richmond, Virginia, and he also serves as an executive vice president, head of a banking operations for the East Coast division of a privately held bank. He understands the responsibility of being a servant leader. He believes God has opened doors for him because he faithfully uses his gifts to open doors for other people. He graduated cum laude from Morehouse, where he majored in business administration. He completed his Master of Divinity with a special emphasis in Black Church Studies at Candler School of Theology at Emory University. And when he was in seminary, he had an opportunity as the executive pastor at a church to be part of a $10 million investment and expansion project, excuse me. And so while he was doing all of that, he saw that there was a great need for greater business acumen in the church. Say amen, somebody. So he then completed his MBA at the Goizueta Business School, also at Emory. In 2012, he was relocated to Virginia by SunTrust Bank to become the first African American executive vice president to head up a division of a private wealth management. In 2018, he was inducted into the Morehouse College Board of Preachers alongside his wife, Dr. Tamara Lomax, who was inducted into the Collegium of Scholars at the same time. In 2023, he completed that rigorous test to become a certified financial planner. And I want you all to be clear what it means to be a CFP in America. Now, America has, I think, 269, 270 million adults. That's the adults, right? And only 95,000 people in the US are certified financial planners. Of that number, only 2% are Black. Okay. So that's what he has done in terms of work. He serves on multiple boards: the Board of Trustees of American Baptist College, 100 Black Men of Middle Tennessee, the Heart Association, and he wanted you all to know that he's a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha. Uh, and this year he began, and this is when although I've been aware of him for years, I picked him up again when he started curating a unique column called Between Sundays on Substack.
Yeah.
On Substack. And so because it's his conviction that he wanted to do some stuff in financial elevation to move those who are not in the top 10% of income earners. He wanted to give you all the tools that you could use to maintain and grow the wealth that you all need. And so I am just excited and delighted to have this expert. Good afternoon, Reverend Lomax.
Good afternoon, Dr. Simmons. It is great to be with
All
you.
right.
It's absolutely exciting.
All right. All right. Let's get right into it. Want to give you as much
Okay.
time as I can. Uh, Faith and finances. How long have you worked in finances, and what areas have you worked in? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I like this question. I'll tell you the short answer is I've been in finance for 37 years. My first role was that as a peak time teller at a small financial institution in Ithaca, New
37
York
years,
called
man. 37? Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
So at 16 years old, I had my first experience as a peak time teller. And then I've had the opportunity to serve as an executive vice president, managing multiple wealth teams for a Fortune 500 company. And so I've been fortunate to have exposure to people who are on the front lines, but also people who have billions of dollars. And being in those kinds of conversations has been quite insightful for me.
Mm. So now you did that for 37 years. Now you're currently a senior pastor. How long you been doing
Yes.
that? Or how long have you been in
Currently,
ministry too?
well, how long? Well, I accepted my call in 96, preached my first sermon in
Mm,
97, became a part of the executive pastorate in 2000, and then had my first actual senior pastorate in 2009 to 2012 at Pleasant Green Missionary Baptist Church in Nashville, Tennessee, across the street from Fisk, actually, and then moved to Richmond and started and was selected as the 15th pastor of Westwood Baptist Church, where I currently serve in 2015.
okay, okay. So what's it been like? Talk a bit about what it's been like to when so many African Americans are poor,
Mhm.
financially disadvantaged. What's it like pastoring people in times like these?
Yeah, I think uh, the conversation around what our responsibility in this moment is to really think about how do we become financially compassionate,
Hmm.
um, and thinking about I was watching a TED talk by a gentleman that has PhD in financial planning. I think his name's Dr. Michael Thomas, and the TED talk was basically talking about financial empathy
Okay.
and this idea. And I like this word empathy. I call it financial compassion, and it's really this idea that we need to extend grace to ourselves and to those within our congregation, while honestly assessing the context that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things that are impacting us and stuff that we don't always talk about, but they do impact us. Things like inflation.
Right.
It's
Mm.
invisible. Inflation is this word that we talk about, but it's the fact that since the beginning of this conflict that we're currently in as a country, gas prices have gone up 30%. And so if a person has 100% of their income, but they didn't receive a 10% bump in their income in the last 3 months,
Mm.
they're feeling that.
That's right.
They're feeling that reality. And those gas prices aren't just impacting at the pump. They're infiltrating food prices, and they're infiltrating other pieces of a person's reality. And so the ability to be conscious of what people are going through, but then also conveying a sense of financial compassion to say, we understand what you're going through. We understand that this is a tough moment. And then thinking side our parishioners, how do we make certain that we're not being so rigid in our
Mhm.
interpretations and in our ways of being, that we can't creatively think about solutions that might be more helpful to people in a time like this.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, as I posted some of the teasers about this, I asked, what are we spending our money on? And someone posted, this is how much Black people spend on fragrances, how much Black people spend
Mhm.
on A, B, C, and D, and etc. But most people posted that people were struggling and what they were spending their
Mhm.
money on was surviving, just
Yeah.
surviving,
Yeah.
and paying
Yeah.
bills and trying to raise families and etc. And they
Mhm.
weren't out here with a whole lot of excess cash lying around. And it's always interesting to me when people say, here's what Black people spend their money on, when
Mhm.
all of the financial figures have said that the average American does not have $400. and that's black, white,
Right.
Asian, Latino. They
Hmm.
ain't even got $400 extra unless they borrowed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't even have to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we're not spending on luxury goods. Uh, a lot of
Hmm.
folk are just surviving.
Yeah.
Have you seen in
Yeah.
your church?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think, we have people who are on fixed income,
Hmm.
and our elders are thinking about their nest egg that they have or if they don't have,
Yep.
and trying to ensure that they're being able to provide for themselves and what they have, they're able to protect it and sustain it. And I think that's something that every one of us is having to consider is how do you manage what you have?
Yeah.
I often say it's income is not the main driver here. It's not how much you make, it's how much you can keep.
And that's the truth.
It's how much margin
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
between the amount that comes into your account on the 1st and 15th, and how much you have on the 31st or the 30th or the
Yeah.
28th. And so the managing of cash flow is as important as the big number that people are trying to manage or to work with. And so yes, in our congregation we see it all the time, persons who are needing additional assistance, additional conversations around what they have. I've had multiple persons who are in their retirement phase say that I'm being approached to potentially buy this annuity. Can you please look at this conversation that I'm having to ensure that this even makes sense?
Hmm.
So it's not just people not having money, it's also people who have money being approached and potentially trying to be sold on ideas that may or may not be helpful to where they are in their journey and being able to protect what they actually have built.
So, as a part of talking to your people, especially those who are on fixed incomes and things like that, and having those conversations, does that drive home for you, or why do you believe it's so important? It's and from your work has been important for a long time for Black people to understand that there's actually a connection between faith and finances. There's a connection.
Yeah, there is, because, and that's really why I started this Between Sundays Substack, is because I understand that we come to church praying aspirationally for those prayers. I don't know how many of them. I haven't done the research, but a lot. I believe that some of those
Mm,
prayers have to do with financial blessing, with financial
no
um,
doubt. No doubt.
space margin to help people be able to make it a little bit better each month, and to be able to have some relief, to have the pressure valve be released a little bit. And so on
Yeah.
Sunday, we're praying for hope that God will move financially, but it's Monday through Saturday that people are
Yeah.
having to actually negotiate. And so Between Sundays is really my um, my my work, my project, my passion to say, I know what you're praying for on Sunday, but how do we give you some tactical, practical tools Monday through Saturday that can help you navigate this and hopefully help you create some margin and
Hmm.
some greater safety net for, so that when you come on Sunday, hopefully some of the things you're praying for aren't so financially related.
Yeah. So you're tying together and understanding. You know, folk are praying for money.
Yeah,
They're praying to hold on, to stretch those dollars longer, and etc. Have you found yourself in doing this, starting the Substack and everything else? Have you found yourself talking more about faith and finances or tools? Tell us a bit about, uh, you know, giving people tools. Tell us about your work in doing that.
yeah. So um, I've had a couple of different opportunities within the church, in particular, to have vacation Bible schools and also have some what I'd call faith and finance talks to help people understand this ecosystem of finance, right? So when you're in wealth management and persons come just to kind of do some table stakes, to be in wealth management in the unit that I was in, people would have to have $2 million in liquidity to be in the unit.
Whoa.
And so that meant liquid assets. They could deploy those assets and the strategies that we were considering. And so when we would face off with a client or have a client meeting, there would be 10 advisors sitting around a table thinking about how we help this person who already has wealth to continue to sustain their wealth, to grow their wealth in the most tax efficient way, to ensure that we're protecting it. And what I recognize is a lot of people that I know don't have $2 million in liquidity and would not be in that unit. So what I'm working on and what I've done in my church and continue to want to be a part of the conversation with other pastors and parishioners and colleagues is to say, how do we create these ecosystems within our local church that does not exist currently? So again, when you're in wealth management, you're going to have a client advisor, you're going to have a certified financial planner, you're going to have a private financial advisor who's going to look at your brokerage accounts, you're going to have somebody who's a trust advisor,
Right.
You're going to have an estate planner, you're going to have an insurance specialist, you're going to have a credit advisor. And if you think about that, it makes a lot of sense for someone who has millions of dollars in assets. But guess what? It also makes sense for the person in the pews who does not have that information and have access to those types of specialists. So the idea is, how do we identify persons in our local congregation and in our local communities who can also provide that insight? It can provide those types of tools and tactics and platforms so that they can begin to advise people who will never be invited in those situations. They'll never be invited to some of these seance meetings that are happening. They're not in that ecosystem where they're going to have those conversations, but they need the information.
Right.
And so being able to have those types of conversations in the local congregation is what I am passionate about. And I'm excited to be able to continue to build those tools and provide these conversations to our persons. I'll give you an example. Somebody in one of the sessions asked me, "Well, should I buy gold?" I mean, just out of the blue.
Yeah.
And, should I just gold?
Yeah.
And it's a question that people are asking, right? Because they're seeing it on the television, they're hearing it everywhere. Should I invest in this? And the answer is always going to be, it depends.
It depends, sure.
Right? It depends on so many factors. And as a CFP, I have a fiduciary responsibility to be concerned with the goals and the realities of the person, not what I am trying to push or what I'm trying to sell or to share. So it's really important that some of the conversations that we're having and some of the work that I've been doing is to help people first get to the place of defining their goals for themselves, helping them really think about the patterns that are in their minds and the ways in which they think about money that can ultimately help them begin to grow and think better about their future and ultimately how they can help everyone in their family, starting with themselves.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about your bringing this work and connecting faith and finances, because we host churches, the Black church writ large. I mean, I think we hold a couple of hundred conferences a year, and very little. Everybody's broke or everybody's trying to do better, trying to help their kids and etc. But very little attention is given to faith and finances. I mean, we're gonna talk. We're gonna always talk about them sermons and stuff like that. And God hadn't made you the tail. God has made you the head, and etc. But people really don't know how to do basic budgeting. So I'm glad that there are people out there, especially CFPs with your level of experience, who can speak at some of our conferences and say, look, y'all, we need to be designing some ecosystems. And you can be part of a brain trust even for other CFPs around the country who have the expertise to help our people, because we're missing it. And I saw it in those teasers that I put out. People are struggling. to the point where
Yeah.
people are like, look, don't tell me nothing about no tithe. I'm broke and I'm
Yeah.
tired. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah.
So, the work that you're doing is important. Your Substack is important. And I just hope our churches, because we just don't, everybody's afraid to talk about money. Nobody want.
Yeah.
I don't want people to know how much money I make. I don't want people to know
Yeah.
that I'm broke. I don't want to, people to know that I'm poor, etc. Let me raise my hand. I'm poor. I'm on a fixed
Yeah.
income, as they call it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it matters. It
Yeah.
matters that we
Yeah.
have people like you to do this, and that takes me right to my next question, which is, given all of the harm that our laws and systems have caused for us in America forever, how can churches,
Yeah.
help folk lessen some of that harm, the financial harm, or maybe even some of
Yeah.
the bad faith or the bad ways that
Yeah.
we learn to talk about money? What can churches do?
Yeah. So I think there's a different grammar book that we can start using. I think the first thing that I would say is we have to admit there has been harm,
All right now.
right? There's been harm in policies. And so, I just a quick kind of connection, right? So 1865, right? We have the Freedmen's Bank, and the newly freed Africans in America are entrusting the system. And they said at its height, the Freedmen's Bank has 17 branches and 17 different has branches in 17 different states.
Right.
60 to 70,000 people are investing in it. Up to $3 million is saved, and the bank goes up belly up in 1874. And so we begin to have this conversation, and so even right now we have a narrative of don't trust banks, don't trust institutions,
Right.
of economic institutions. And then you fast forward, and we have the New Deal. Franklin Delano Roosevelt puts through the New Deal, and we create the Homeowner Loan Corporation, which is great for supporting mortgages, but there's an appraisal conversation that starts happening in this moment, which basically grades different types of properties based upon where people live.
Right.
And there's a redlining grade that's grade D for people of color.
Yep.
And so there's not this access to capital, not an access to being able to get into real estate. Even the laws with regards to Social Security. There was a carve out in Social Security when it first began that laborers and agricultural workers didn't have access. Well, what were African Americans in 1935 when this was happening?
That's right.
So there has to be an admittance to harm that has been done. But I think the other part of that grammar book is that we were creative people who, within those situations, we still created things like the Independent Order of St. Luke's from Maggie Walker, which was a mutual aid society.
Right.
We used creativity and the laws that we could to create things that helped us to come together and make a difference. And so we have to begin to say, how do we take the creativity of our ancestors and the realities and say, how do we build something in this day, understanding that there are policies that are aimed, just like they were aimed back then, are aimed at us right now. How do we ensure that we think differently, we become creative, and we promote the ways in which we can create new edges? I'll say one last thing about this, and that is that I think there has to be a move from financial literacy to financial competency.
All right now.
We have had large
in the grammar book. This is part of the new grammar book we need. Yeah.
I am really appreciative of the dialogues that we are having around financial literacy. In essence, what are the terms we use? How do you enter into the culture of financial decision making? But can we expand it to competency? Literacy says, I understand what I'm reading. right? But competency says I can apply it and execute it when the opportunity presents itself.
All right now.
And so what I want to make certain of is that we're helping people gain skills that they can repeat, that they can take advantage of, so that when the opportunity comes, they can really take advantage of it. The best way I can put it, this is kind of an example, is have you ever been to like a basketball game or a football game, and you saw like at halftime, they have that phone booth,
right,
where the person goes in the phone booth and there's money flying around the person.
Right.
They got like 30 seconds to go and grab as much of the money as they possibly can. And what ends up happening, undoubtedly, if the person doesn't have a strategy going into the phone booth, what they do is they go and grab the money, every dollar they can with their hands.
Right.
And the problem with that is every time they grab a dollar and they go for the next one, they open up their hand and the dollar they just grabbed ends up exiting their home. And we learned that the best person to the person who has the greatest strategy, the person who just goes out and opens up their shirt and lets money blow into it. And then they just
finally figured that out.
Figured it out. They just put their shirt out and then they let the money blow in and they just hold it. Well, that's the strategy. But if you don't understand that strategy, and that's what's been happening to a large extent, we understand that stuff is happening around us. We understand the money's floating around us, but we don't have a strategy. We can read it, but we can't always apply it. And so I want to add to the grammar book, can we start talking about financial competency on top of literacy? And then the last thing that I'll just mention that churches, I think, can do is pastors can start to join think tanks to help them upskill themselves and interrogate their own financial realities.
Absolutely.
Because I think we can't export what we've never imported.
All right now.
And we can't deliver a dialogue that we are not comfortable with having.
Yep.
And so if we don't understand it, it's hard to convey it to our congregation. It's hard for us. So I challenge our colleagues to enter into conversations where they can admit, I don't have all the answers, Sway. I don't know everything that is going on.
I don't have any MBA. I'm not a certified financial planner, but I'm willing to bring in, instead of just holding another revival, I'm willing to bring in some people who can give you strategies. So that you know, along with just saying, I understand this, you can do something with it, because while we're suffering, and this is a period of suffering, we've got to admit that, but we've suffered before. And in the midst of our suffering, we still built Black Wall Street and aid societies and things like that. So we're suffering just like they suffered, but we've got a few more pennies, but we're not as engaged as churches. Like I said, we'll have 200 conferences, and you might get a couple, maybe, 3 or 4 that'll talk about financial, not only just, they'll basically just talk about financial literacy. See, you're talking about financial strategies and pastors becoming part of brain trust to learn what they do not know, so they don't have to just sit there and say, I'm praying for you. Or we'll give you some more assistance next month.
Yeah, I think, and I got to give credit to Dr. Sidney Williams on this in his book, Fishing Differently.
Yes, Lord.
He talks about how there's different types of capital in the local church, right? So we have, financial capital, we have intellectual capital, we have social capital, we have human capital. And I think we have a great opportunity within our churches to harvest that capital, to think about how do we bring that capital that we have to the table to be able to optimize the opportunities that we have right in our local communities, right? And let's just be very clear. It's important that it is at the local level, because every state, every city has its own tax base, has its own financial realities. In Tennessee, we didn't have state income tax, or so it's in Virginia we do. There's certain things that are specific to the local ecosystem that are unique. And so being able to harvest the capital that's where you are is important because it functions differently. Probate laws, estate laws are state governed.
Yeah.
So there are different realities to every municipality. And so understanding that and offering that up so that you have your local experts being a part of the conversation is really important to help elevate. And it could be just a piece of information that helps people understand, oh, take advantage of this now.
Right.
This is something you need to be taking advantage of now. This is a new app that can help you save money on groceries. This is a new app that this is going on sale in this area, creating these conversations at the local level, but then simultaneously, when public student loan forgiveness was going on in the Biden administration, there was a window for persons to be able to take advantage of it. But some people were ignoring that window.
That's right.
But if there were persons in local congregations saying, hey, this window is going to close.
Yeah.
And we need to walk you through the steps for how this is actually going to work.
Yeah.
Some of the pain that people are experiencing on the back end right now may have been able to be avoided in some aspect had there been a local herald beating their chest or beating the bell saying, hey, look at this now. And so that's the kind of work that I want to continue to encourage and be a part of it and be at the table to help navigate.
Well, I am glad, as I said, that you are here because and people can look back at the comments that came. I mean, hundreds of them around this topic. And my sense is because, like I said, so many are struggling, but also because there's just a lack of knowledge. So it's like there is some money floating around, but like you said, there's no strategy. People have jobs, even if they're not making a lot, but there's no strategy on how to save with the little bit that they do have. The strategies are not there. So talking about, let's say more about this and faith, because that's what I think people are really missing. People don't want to talk about money at all. Number one, you know, a lot of pastors will tell me, Doc, I hate raising money. I hate talking about raising money. I hate the church, etc. But it's like, look, that's your job. So you've got to find ways to get comfortable to talk about faith and finances, etc. So what would you say to people who are uncomfortable, pastors especially? They don't even talk about, they don't know how to connect faith and finances. What would you say them? You're a senior pastor. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say exegete your own journey first. We exegete the text, we exegete scripture. But the one thing that I would say to get comfortable with money, you have to exegete your own identity and your own journey as it relates to money. Right. So there's a whole vertical of work on the psychology of financial planning. And in that work, it really talks about understanding your first memories of money, understanding what was your first memory of money, and particularly the first memory of money where you had you felt the impact of it, you felt the weight of it, either something you weren't able to purchase or something you were able to purchase, or finding out you didn't have it. Those stories impact us as adults.
That's right.
And so how we spend money as adults has everything to do with those early stories. I think about, as an example, my earliest real memory of money in my household had to do with a Christmas savings club. My parents used to make certain that we put a little money aside every week for a Christmas savings club so that we could buy gifts for our siblings and for our parents. That was something that was put into my mind. And so those stories impact how I think about money now. You put money aside for the thing that you want in the future.
Right.
And so again, I think the first step is not being comfortable with the congregation. It's being comfortable with
All
yourself
right
and
now.
your own
That's
story
right.
and your own realities of money, and being able to sit up and say, okay, what is my net worth? What are the decisions I've made
Mm-hmm.
financially?
Mm-hmm.
How proud or embarrassed or concerned am I with my own financial
Yeah.
future?
Yeah.
I think it is disingenuous
Mm.
to ask others to sacrifice and to be a part of a conversation with regards to finances, and you've not exegeted your own financial
All
picture
right now.
and understand
I hope you all
what
heard that,
you
Pastor.
have what you have been navigating in your own life. You must take the time out to do that work. It's important so that you can, and here's the reason, so that you can see the patterns inside yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then make certain that you're not translating or transferring those patterns to other people,
Okay now.
and that you're not transferring financial trauma onto other people.
That's big. That's
And so I
big.
think
Don't
that's the
transfer.
work.
Don't transfer the trauma. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you've experienced financial trauma as a child,
Yeah.
or and you had to go without, it's okay to do that work and say, okay, this is this. We talk about it in psychology of financial planning. We talk about it in terms of financial scripts. We have these scripts, just like an actor gets a script in a movie. You have these scripts that are given to you, and that were given to you as a child, kind of like embedded theology,
Yeah.
if you can think about it
Yeah.
like that. It's embedded theology. It's an embedded script that's in our DNA, and we don't even realize it's come up. It's a part of who we are.
Yeah.
And if we're not really going in and drawing the meaning out of those moments, we could be passing along a little bit of arsenic in what we're
Oh my
talking
God.
about with our
Oh my.
team.
Well, not only are we passing along arsenic, I think going back to what you said earlier about strategies and not having strategy, we're passing along ignorance because
Yeah.
we haven't figured out what the heck is going on. Somebody just said in one of the comments, we know LeBron James's net worth and we don't know our own net worth. Now, I mean, for a preacher
Yeah.
to not know
Yeah.
their own net worth, etc.
Yeah.
I may be poor, but I know my
Yeah.
net worth. Okay. It's
Yeah.
absurd for you to then turn around and say, oh, I want you all to trust me as a leader of the household of faith, okay, to
Right.
lead you
Yeah.
in discussions about faith and finances. So I'm glad you said that first.
Yeah.
Exegete your situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's so critical, because if you're healthy financially, if you've interrogated what it makes up your own balance sheet, you can then begin to be a better steward over the balance sheet of the church. If you
Okay, now.
you can understand how to optimize your own balance sheet, your own net worth, to create more margin for you, then it doesn't become so much tension between you and the congregation. You can model it. You can feel authentic in it. You can begin to explain these things and helpfully help others in your congregation to take similar steps because you've been through those steps. And so that's the kind of the first part of kind of the faith and finance piece. And I would say the other pieces that I would just again begin to think about is, how do we move from literacy to competency? You're going to continue to hear me say that. I think the movement for how do we put people in safe spaces to talk about their finances so that they don't feel embarrassed, they don't feel shame, and that they can have earnest expression, and that we can ride alongside of them and say, let's walk with you. Let's talk with you. Let me help you. We have a gentleman in my congregation who is an expert in the different parts of Medicare, right? Part A, Part B, right? And so we offered him the opportunity to talk with people in our congregation so they could understand the different parts and the enrollments and all of the different things. That's not my expertise.
Yeah.
But I know enough to say, hey, Larry, I need you to talk to the folks about this so they understand what they're enrolling in and also understand what they're not getting when they enroll in these different types of programs. And so that's the kind of work we have to do, is to dig into our congregation.
Medicare and Medicaid can be nightmares. Be raised by hand.
Yes.
Just figuring it all out. And I'm a relatively bright person. But what they've done with Medicare and Medicaid is made the system so complicated that people just end up doing what somebody told them. And if the person who told them wasn't knowledgeable, they end up in a mess, and it's a mess for a long time.
Correct. Because if you don't sign up or enroll at the right time in some of those programs, it can be some of them. I don't know that you can come back and change it. So there's some
reality. If you go into certain things in Medicare, no, you can't go back. Excuse me, Medicaid.
Correct.
You can't go back and change them.
Yeah. Correct. And so having the right information at the right time and having experts to have conversations with your aging population is a benefit to them and can actually help them gain greater margin in their fixed income.
Oh, no doubt.
So again, what we
and to stop to know when they're wasting money. Whether do you really need A, B, C, and D? Some of the stuff is some of the parts are automatic, but you don't need all of the parts, and they're really not serving you well over the long haul. But I digress. I just know because that's part of what it means to be a senior. And I'm one is to learn those that process and etc. And it's been eye-opening because it really shouldn't be as complicated as it is. And I know that's a lot of government stuff that's to blame, but it cannot be the case that we sit in churches and there are nonprofits. They're for-profits. They're everything that could explain Medicare, and the people in our churches know nothing. And we're going to have our revival. There are going to be 5 conferences in our city, and it's like, are you all serious? Are you serious?
So think about it like this. So that's just one example of having information literacy. I understand that I need to enroll, but the competency piece of, so what do I enroll in, and what are the dates, and what's my window to do it, and not knowing that information can cost you thousands of dollars in just not knowing. And let's be clear, there's a reason why it's confusing, right? Because if it's confusing, then there's this another TED talk I saw was on from a Stanford professor, graduate student, I believe, and it was talking about the choice overload problem. And what the choice overload problem is, simply put, is that when you have too many choices, you just freeze.
That's right.
And when you freeze, you don't take action. Then that means that it lowers the responsibility of those resources that are extended to persons so that they can't take advantage of them. So now they're outside of the system. So there is a reason why it's confusing, but that's also the reason why we must create ecosystems in our local churches to ensure that we can dispel some of the information so that persons can actually move forward and grow their wealth or protect what they have, so that it's not so burdensome.
And understand, I mean, people like Bernie in DC, that's the reason they asked for Medicare for all. It's because if you give it to everybody, a lot of the ridiculousness and the burdens, etc., they fall away. They fall away. But of course, the insurance folk are fighting because they at least want you to say, "Oh, you got a donut hole," and get our product to fill that
Mhm.
donut hole. So that's why the folk on the hill are not interested, because the insurance lobby is not interested. But anyway, I digress. Give me, yeah, I mean, I mean, some of the stuff that this country does to really harm people and to make sure wealth is hoarded by a
Mhm.
small sliver, a small tiny group of people is really, it's just evil. So let's help the people some more, until we
Yeah.
get to a point where, instead of just another revival, another conference, we're really giving people strategies, and the
Yeah.
competency. So tell me some stuff they should be reading. Give me some podcasts they can listen
Yeah.
to at least help them understand faith and finances. Give me some stuff that you would recommend to people.
Yeah, I would listen to. So if you're interested in just the markets themselves, there's a great podcast by Goldman Sachs that actually just says the markets. It's a little heady, little academic, but it's something that's accessible. And that's on Spotify. You can also, I think some of
Say
the
the
work
name
that
of it
DeForest
again.
Soaries, it's called The
The
Markets.
markets.
The Markets.
Mm-hmm.
It's on from Goldman Sachs. I think
Okay.
it's not a podcast, but there is a some great work that McKinsey and Company is doing, the consultancy, and it's called McKinsey Insights.
Okay.
McKinsey Insights. And they have what's called the Institute for Economic Mobility.
Somebody put
And
some
there
of
is a
this in the
space
chat.
where,
The McKinsey Institute, the markets on Spotify. Somebody get to typing for me. Get to typing for me. I'll put some of this stuff in the chat. Uh, go ahead, and I
there
think
is
it's markets with an S, right?
correct, correct.
Markets. Yes, yeah, I'm familiar. Okay, go ahead, Reverend Lomax. Give us some other stuff.
Yeah. So, with just really quickly, inside of the Institute of Economic Mobility, there's a part that's just Black mobility.
Hmm.
And I think from a pastoral perspective, it would be extremely interesting for us to talk about it. In that, you're going to learn that Black consumption or spending is in the trillions.
Yeah.
It's anticipated to be in the trillions. And so you mentioned this. I just want to say this. You mentioned conferences. What conferences tell us is that we have access to capital.
Yeah.
There is
Yep.
access to money. In some aspects, we find a way. And I'll just tell you this: if we just move away from conferences for a second, as a parent of former AAU basketball players, I can tell you that there is access to capital, because AAU proves in every local city that they find money for sports and everything else. So it's about
Oh yeah.
prioritization.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's about
Yeah.
us being able to look at what we have and begin to really interrogate it a little further. I would say the reading national. The Urban League just produced their State of the Union work. It just came out over the weekend. Their State of the Union for Black America. I would definitely read that. It's extremely interesting work, and they're, I think, being predictive of where the economy is going, given these changes to student loans and all of the things that are happening within borrowing.
Yeah,
For
they
college
put more
education.
attention. They put more attention on finances and et cetera, and economics in this issue than I've seen in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and
the
I
Urban
think
League report, you
just
all, that it's their what do they call
yeah,
it? The
the
State of the Union, the
State of the
Urban League
Union.
State of the Union.
Yeah, and then just as an aside, of course, my own Substack between
Absolutely.
Sundays. I think, again, all of those, and again, DeForest Soaries is doing some great work.
Yeah.
Dr. Soaries does excellent
Yeah,
work.
he's
He has an Instagram page.
he's been on, I think, every other year. He's definitely doing some
Yeah,
great work to
yeah.
help people. Yeah.
I am definitely a fan of that. And then I would say, outside of kind of the crossover, there's some young brothers called Earn Your Leisure who are talking about the markets all the time, and they have a interesting podcast that's talking about real-time financial insights.
And
And
it's
again, you can
Earn
join the
Your Leisure.
conversation. Earn Your Leisure.
Earn
Yeah.
Your Leisure.
So those are
Okay,
just a few that, yeah, the young brothers who have been in the world of finance. They are extremely astute and are having some conversation. So again, I think between all of those, I would definitely recommend getting into the conversation and just start learning the language.
Yeah.
Start listening to the insights, and you'll start to become more and more not only literate, but start moving to competency.
Yeah. I think people would be shocked at what they can learn, because that's another thing I found out talking to people about Medicare and Medicaid. For some reason, smart people, that they don't think they can get it. It's like, oh, this is going to be so difficult, and it's more difficult if you never study. Okay, so at least
right.
Put your toe in the water. Put your toe in the
Correct.
water. Number one, by learning what your own net worth is. So if you, whether you got 50 cents, $50, or whether you are worth a couple of million and don't know it, because you don't understand your net worth. So I cannot thank you enough for just giving folk and understanding that faith and finances are important. And in times like these, as the song says, we really need an anchor concerning our finances, because no one's coming to save us but us. No one's coming. No federal programs this time, etc. In fact, they're being cut. Go ahead, Reverend Lomax. You were about to say something.
I think that's where we have to tap into our creative genius in who we are and who we've always been as Black people, and really start to engage some of the tracks that have been laid in the past. But there's some new ways to be thinking about ourselves individually, but collectively as a community. The Black church is one of the greatest landholders as a whole. We have all of this real estate. We have all of this opportunity, and we need to be thinking differently about our balance sheets as churches and say, okay, we've got these assets. How do we get a better return on this? How can we think about our plant, our real estate, this space that's not used Monday through Friday, and create business incubation, create different collaborative programs so that we can begin to start working on ways in which we can save ourselves. We have to begin to think differently and more creatively, and not just look.
We don't know the net worth of our churches either.
Yes. It's understanding our balance sheets, our net worth within our own individual lives, but also understanding what do we really have as churches. And when we really start to understand what we have, there is no stopping us with regards to being able to do something with the great assets that we have and with the faith that we hold fast to.
Someone just, let me see this, I'm going to put this in here, and you can give us one of these 30 seconds answers. How do you go about beginning to determine your net worth? It's not an arbitrary figure. So just give us a kind of what you would tell them as a certified financial planner.
It's actually a really easy, do a T chart on a piece of paper.
Okay.
Just put a T on a piece of, and on top on the left, put what you owe. Everything you owe. So what you owe, and then if there's a value of what you owe, put that there. And then on the right side, if that's on the left side, is what you owe. On the right side, put what you own. And so what you want to see is the difference between what you owe and what you own. So as an example, I owe $15,000 on a car, for an example, but the car is worth $20,000. The net worth of that particular line item would be a positive $5,000. right? So I've got a car that's worth 20,000. I owe 15,000. The equity in that car is $5,000. Now that's going to move,
Sure.
right? It's going to change over time. But again, I'm getting a view, I'm getting a value. So evaluating what you owe and then looking what you own and then subtracting those balances, the margin between the two is going to give you a sense, once you add it all up, what your net worth is at this point in time. The beautiful thing, though, is that if you keep managing it and you keep having conversations about how to optimize the assets on your balance sheet at time, you should start seeing that grow.
Right.
There should be greater distance between what you owe and what you own. And that's how you grow your net worth.
Right.
It's how you have those conversations.
Yeah,
Again,
that's a brief way, but that's basically it is what it is. If you owe $10,000 in credit card debt, which is how so many people are living today, but you own a house, and you may have been in it 10 years, etc., and you own some other things. Again, over time, you can start to see the difference in what you owe and what you own, etc., and come up with your net worth. I just wanted to throw that one out there because that's been asked on broadcast before. Reverend Lomax, that is my time. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
It's helpful, and it's a drum I'm going to keep beating, because although, as someone says, the D9 organizations, they may do some stuff around finances, I want more churches to do it. I want more denominations to do it, because the folk are, although churches are shrinking, etc., folk are still listening to Black churches. They're still listening to and trusting pastors. So I can't thank you enough for your doing this and joining me. I want to thank everyone who joins me for this broadcast and those who contribute to my Cash App, because I'm an independent scholar, so I appreciate that. Join me next Monday, as I said earlier, to help me welcome the first Black woman president of Christianity Today. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. And last but not least, and I say this every time, share the video. It won't cost you anything, and this will help some people. It's going to help some pastors, some people in your churches, some people in your family. Share the video. God bless everyone. Have a great week. Reverend Lomax, thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. God bless.
All right.